What is up, everybody? Things are starting to open back up, and I'm out of the house. And with me, thank goodness.
I wish I could hug you, Tim.
For me, that's favorite because I'm not a huggy guy.
Neither am I.
This is so perfect that I'd hug you, but I can't. But man, it's great to see you.
It's great to be seen, and it's great to see somebody other than the 2 or 3 people I see down here working well in my quarantine here in Atlanta. So
well, I know these folks are going to be grateful that they're not going to have to hear me for a half hour just kind of spewing stuff out. So I got everybody's favorite uncle here, Uncle Eddie. So no, I appreciate you, and man, I miss doing this.
Yeah.
I just miss this. I miss having somebody here.
So Christian can stop busting your chops about fixing the crown molding?
Yes, yeah. That's what you remember from the broadcast.
That's what I remember from the broadcast.
That's what you remember.
I did watch all the broadcasts. I watched them all and enjoyed them.
Yeah, no, so the last 3 broadcasts, we're coming from my house, but really what I think is appropriate for right now to start this off is to kind of start with a safety message. I've never really done that on the broadcast, but with what's going on, I think that it's really appropriate for me to say something. And really what I want to do is talk a little bit about, things opening up throughout, the country and our division with restaurants and things like that. And what I need you all to do is make sure that you are still being very cautious. Making sure that, we got our gloves. I wear a bandana that I have. I got on my backpack. I got the hand sanitizer.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's an improvement, man. That looks good. No, but because when things, I worry that when people think things are opening up, that they think it's getting better, and with the cases rising and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get too much into that stuff, but I just want to make sure that you're all still being safe, because just because you're being safe, you got to remember you're going in all these houses and you don't know what those folks are doing. Yeah. So that's kind of
but again, it's been probably my biggest fear since this thing all took off, that y'all are walking into these houses and again, building on Tim's message, don't let your guard down. Yeah. Don't get lax. Don't just pretend like it was day one when you started. And if you've had that tendency to kind of get a little lax in what you're doing, make sure you're doing it the way you did it when you first heard about it. And I think the other thing, Tim, that's important is that how much our customers appreciate the way you all are carrying yourselves. We get feedback on the podiums, and all the feedback we're getting. The Orkin man showed up. He showed up. He was safe. The Orkin lady showed up. She had her PPE on. I felt more comfort there. And I think that's one of the things that's, quite frankly, attributed to the success we're having residentially, is that folks are running to a big brand. They're not calling Dead Bug Doug because they don't know if Dead Bug Doug's showing up like this, right? I mean, they expect the Orkin folks to show up in this PPE. You laughing about Dead Bug Doug? That's an old Orkin thing. For Randy Rieger and all those other guys, they'll remember Larry Guard being
chucking a truck.
Chucking a truck, whatever. Dead Bug Doug is what I grew up with.
Sorry, I don't mean.
But again, we worry about you every day, and just don't let that guard down. Darn you, don't let that happen. And
yeah, and the other thing I really want to say is a huge thank you for everything you guys and gals have been doing over the last few months. I mean, Ed, it's been lighting up, huh?
It's never in a million years when this thing hit. I'm like probably the most positive guy on the planet. But when this thing hit, when it started shaking out in March, I said, oh boy, what's going to happen? I would have never predicted. Nobody could have predicted what's happened. Just to give you an idea on what's going on company-wide, and then Tim will talk a little bit about you guys individually. What's going on residentially in this company is, I kind of led into it a little bit before we got ahead of putting the top 10, is something I would have never been able to predict. Nobody would have. And I just want to share just a couple numbers with you company-wide, because your numbers are reflective of that as well. Our sales in June, our residential pest control sales were up 48% over the prior year. 48%. I mean, that's just unheard of.
Crazy.
Our termite sales were up 24% over the prior year. And remember, we slayed our termite sales last year. We ran a 18% increase last year. And again, year to date, we're doing the same thing. Just can't thank you enough. What's happened in the company, we've been able to, make some money while we're doing this, as well as what's gone on the residential side has completely covered all the shortfalls of the commercial side. We've struggled commercially in our sales and our revenue. with businesses being closed. But what you folks have done residentially is just kind of wiped out any deficit we had there. We're down like $8 million in commercial sales as a company over last year, and we're up like 42 million as a company in total sales. So do the math, we're $50 million over in residential sales this year. It's just crazy.
It is crazy. And I was, when this happened in March, I was super worried about what was going to happen. I just really was, because like you said, you give them a little bit of a base. Your gravy is with the commission from the sales that you do. And that's how you provide for your family and yourselves and all that. And just watching how people have taken advantage of these times has been incredible. At the last 3 broadcasts I've done them from my house, and I've had people that were in a top 10, and they would talk about how they've kind of adapted and things that they've changed. And I just think that it's really cool to see how people have adapted and really put this to their benefit, and really the numbers are showing. What's kind of concerning, though, to me is that we still have some folks that are still doing like the 20,000, like the 25,000, stuff like that just don't seem to be really fully taking advantage of the situation and the opportunity, and really, making the most out of this career here.
Yeah.
And I don't know, kind of what I'd like to do in this broadcast is talk a little bit about some of the changes, because I see it out in our division. That's what I love about my job, is I get to see what people have done to be successful and just kind of share it with everybody. What these guys are doing in different parts of the division. You have 5 divisions, so you have the whole country where you're seeing what people are doing. And really, what I really want to drive home to some of these folks is to take advantage of this and stop with the hitting the mediocre, the 25,000, 30,000, and get over to the $50,000 and $60,000 a month. I mean, heck, 3 months in a row we've had 29 perfect miles. I mean, you got these guys like Ricky Schmidt. Every month this year has hit a perfect mile. Brad, I think he's on like 4 or 5 months in a row. He'll be calling me in a second if I'm wrong. But over $200,000.
Right.
It's just kind of crazy. So talk about what do you think, like some of the things that people are doing?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, and I'll just share a story that Jason Sire shared with me. 15-time President's Club guy, made it every year he's been here. Jason has had, over the last 3 months, his best 3 months ever. He's the first guy to ever run a perfect mile. And the conversation that he and I, we talk pretty frequently. The conversation that he had with me was that he's way more productive now, Tim. And I know you had a couple of guys share this in the broadcast, to where he's not going to the branch every day. But his branch manager, the 2 or 3 sales guys they got in Little Cookville, Tennessee, they post the board every morning virtually, on Teams. And then he does his one-on-one with Shane Messer, who's his branch manager. He does his one-on-one. So at 9:15 every morning, he's done. And he said, oftentimes, Ed, I take those calls, around the corner from my first appointment.
Right.
So he said that it's allowed him to be more productive. And your guys talked about the same thing on their broadcast. But there's a guy who I consider to be one of the best ever Orkin salespeople. President's Club, Chairman's Club guy every year, who's had his 3 best months ever. He's probably had, I don't know, maybe 12 or 13 perfect miles. He's on a string of 4 in a row, like your guys are doing.
Right.
And his best months ever. And he attributes it to his ADD, that he would get into the office and screw around in the morning and do the meeting. And then he said, I wouldn't leave till 10:30, 11 o'clock, because I'd be in there to my own fault, talking with everybody in the office, just making, making conversation just to feel wanted. So I think that's one of the things that's happening. And then I think the other thing that's happening out there is that we're getting more calls. People are running to the brand. They're not going to the dead bug dug like I talked about. So we're getting more calls. And I think what's also happened is we're seeing everybody embrace RAC. And your division is certainly the shining example of that. But our RAC sales are up 32% through the first 6 months of this year. And again, these are numbers that are coming on the backside of what I thought was the best year this company ever had residentially in sales last year. And we're just stomping it into the ground.
So let me kind of dig in on the 3 points that you just made. I don't even know if you know you made 3 points, but there was 3 takeaways I got out of that. The first thing about not going into the branch. You know, I have pest control service at the house, and my route manager, I was asking about how he's adapting and things like that, and he was just ecstatic. Tim from Carroll County, if you're watching, don't take this personal, but he's ecstatic that he don't have to go to the branch for the weekly service meetings because he can take their weekly Teams call right outside his first stop, instead of going 45 minutes from his house to the branch and then having to go to his first service of the morning. So he's way more productive too. Even the route managers are more productive, but because they don't have to go to the branches. So when you're talking about not being able to go to the branches and you're doing your Teams meetings in the morning, we talked a lot about, you know, running 4 or 5 appointments in a day, you know, doing that top to bottom, inside out, the process, you know, like 4 appointments a day, because if you're really going to be thorough, that's probably what you can do. You take away those 2.5 hours in the morning now of driving to the branch, having your meeting, your check-in, and just, you know, kind of, ooh, I almost said it, joking around. I was going to say, whatever, doesn't matter what I'm going to say. It's been a while, you know, live TV, I still get caught, I got to catch myself. But like talking with the admin folk and all the people and the salespeople, we're salespeople, we talk, we gab, it's what we do. But how many of you are truly taking advantage? That's 2 more appointments a day. That's why these folks are running the 6 to 8 appointments a day. You know, I mean, it just makes sense to take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's opening up more time to see people, right? You know, I've always, you know, tried to figure out how you see, you know, how do you do 6 really good inspections in a day, you know, when you're not getting to your first one until 10 o'clock because we got you holed up in the office.
Right.
I can promise you, if there's anything that I have to do with it, we're not going to hold you up in the office anymore. You know, certainly the COVID times have created that. But I think what's cool about what's happening because of the COVID, it's forcing us to make changes that, in my opinion, were long overdue. It never made any sense for me that we, you know, I could be, you know, killing sacred cows here, but that we came back to the branch at night to pre-list. I mean, it just never made any sense. You know, since we moved to Boss, we have all those lists. You know, never made sense to come to the office every morning. I was lucky when I was a salesman, I was detached. I only had to go in, you know, I was an hour from the branch. I only had to go in, you know, once a week to go to the sales meeting and then to the service meeting. But I just think it's the right thing to do. And I think if you're not taking advantage of that yet, find that time. Don't go to your first appointment at 10:30. The other thing that Jason shared, which I think is vital in today's world, is that he's found more time, again, one of those sacred cows, for his family.
Yeah.
You know, well, the kids aren't going to school because they're not getting on the bus, he said, but I'm there in the morning with them. So, you know, I got a chance sometimes to have breakfast with them, and then I go to my next appointment. Where, you know, you had a half-hour jaunt into the office every day,
right,
and depending on traffic. And there's no traffic, too.
There is no traffic.
That's like really cool, right? So there's all these things, good things that are going on, and I'm just super appreciative of what you're doing.
The other thing you were talking about is the amount of the residential sales that the call center is making.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've always had starts. The successful people have always gone to starts, things like that. They'd pick and choose which one they want to go to. Usually the road at ones, things like that. But there's tremendous opportunity at starts. The other thing, though, and we talked about this 2 broadcasts ago, I had Brad Connor when I actually had him on, you know, doing a little interview with him, and he talked about the gold mine that he uncovered. We've talked about before, but sometimes it takes people a little longer to catch on, but with web leads. And then last month, Brian Hunt, who's been around for 13 years, saw what Brad said and said, I'm going to check this thing out, and went in and looked and found an ocean, I think was his quote, of web leads.
Yeah.
Touch on the web leads.
Yeah, so let me tell you why it happened and why it's going on. So the volume at the call center is just outstripped our capabilities of answering the phone. We have a team of 18 people that when the web leads come in, they call the web leads and try to sell them pest control. Well, those 18 folks on Mondays and Tuesdays, those are the heaviest. I mean, they just dwarf the other 5 days of the week in call volume. On Monday and Tuesday, we take those folks that typically handle the web leads. You know, the web lead comes in, they call them up and they say, hey, Mr. Smith, how can I help you? What do you need? What we're doing with those now, and we will do for the remainder of July, and probably in all likelihood for the entire month of August, is we are pushing those directly to the field. So I think what you need to understand about web leads is these folks have never spoken to any Orkin person. It's not a lost lead. They've not talked to anybody. Nobody's told them no. But when you get these are like hot off the presses, and they're coming to you within an hour of them being processed. It takes about an hour to get them processed, and then they're pushed immediately to the field. So I think the important thing is nobody's ever talked to them. You're going to be the first person to talk to them. And, you know, pest control, sell it over the phone. If you can build an inspection into it, kind of I remember the conversation with Brad, he'll sell them pest and show up for the start. But the importance of understanding that is that we get a bunch of those, right?
Right.
And people have a tendency to use their phone to send their leads in. And so, there's this past Monday and Tuesday of last week, we had over 3,000 web leads that got pushed to the field. Again, it almost hurts me that we push them without anybody talking to them.
Right.
But the demand it doesn't allow us to do that and to upstaff that. We don't know what's going to happen. We just consider ourselves to be crazy blessed. But those web leads are pure gold, pure gold.
And the thing with these web leads is you really need to do the 3-touch system so when you get one, or when you go in the system and see it there, you call them, text them, and email them, because you have the phone number and you have the email address. Because people, they communicate all different ways. Me, I have no problem picking up the phone and ordering pizza. My fiance, she's doing it online. She doesn't want to talk to people. That's just how she's wired. So if you're calling somebody, they don't answer, they might not want to call you back. But if you're sending them a text, they'll text you right back. And that's how you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That the folks that are having real great success contacting web leads, the web leads that we try to call at the call center, it's about a 50% contact rate. But when you push it out to the field, and like Tim said, you email them and you text them. Again, they're of that mindset. They're like Kim, they don't want to talk to anybody, but they'll respond via text. You want to get a hold of me? Text me. Don't email me and don't call me. You send me a text, I'm right at you.
And it doesn't take much more of an effort, because it's already a preset, like text message, or the message that you're going to introduce in yourself, why you're calling them. And then you just copy paste it and just click on a phone number, text. Come on, you guys know how to do this stuff. I don't know why you need a 51-year-old telling you how to text. But it's the same thing with the email. You click on email, opens up, just you go copy paste and hit send. So it only takes like 10 to 15 seconds to add those 2 other touches in there, and you'll see a tremendous amount of return rate. And in fact, last week on a group meet, I saw Ray Torres out of Ashburn, Virginia, from a web lead. He sold the pest control and a $7,500 attic remediation.
Yeah.
That's the opportunity out there. And it's just. If for us not to take full advantage of this, we're missing the boat on that. So please make sure. And if you are unsure of where to find these things, ask your region sales manager, or shoot me an email, or give me a call. Most of you guys know how to get in touch with me. It's just a great opportunity to be able to do that.
And again, it's Tuesday morning. There's a bunch sitting there for you already.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue to come throughout the day. We turn that function off. We push them to the field all day Monday. We push them Sunday night about 3 o'clock to the branches, and that continues until Tuesday evening, when we shut it off and we take it through the normal channels at that point in time. It's just pure out of necessity. Again, just a great opportunity.
Yeah. So between not having to go to the branch, that everybody should be running 6 to 8 appointments now. You really should. And like 6 new appointments and 2 follow-ups for the people that are back to work, the one-leggers, because we don't do the one-leggers. And then with the opportunity with the web leads to be able to fill up those days. The other thing you talked about that's way up is RAC.
Yeah.
We've always been pretty good at RAC in the Northeast Division. Our market share has always been a little over 50%, and we've always been one of the top with the dollars. But man, it pains me how many people still don't use it in our division. Yeah. We still have some people that I kind of just laugh, because that's how I deal with stuff. But when I see customer not interested. Talk a little bit about RAC, and you're giving me an evil eye, man.
Well, it's the message.
We're in the same. Yeah.
It's the message you've been trying to drive through, and I struggle with the folks that don't get it. But let me share some math with you, right? So, I said the RAC sales are up 30% year over year. Let me put some dollars to that. That's $12.5 million in RAC sales over what we did last year. So, let's put the 14% kind of commission behind $12.5 million. I think that's like almost $1.8 million. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe somebody's better at math than me. But you're giving up commissions if you're not closing with RAC every time. And I don't know. I've worn myself out for the past 10 years trying to convince people to use RAC. The numbers are there. The success is there. Yeah, and I love Jesse's message. I don't know what the heck we did with him, making him a branch manager, but it just hurt my heart that the guy finally figures out RAC has a couple perfect miles in a row, and we make him a branch. Congratulations, Jesse, on the promotion.
That's Ed's way of congratulating you, Jesse.
Yeah. Great job. Yeah. We're going to miss, yeah, how do you replace a $100,000 guy? I don't know. You got to hire 2 yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, just stay with it. I mean, if you're not practicing it, practice the darn thing. And if you don't get it, pick up the phone and call one of these dudes that gets it. You know, in one of the emails I sent out, you know, in one of the evening emails, you know, the folks that are closing with REC, the folks that are running perfect miles, their market shares are north of 70%. There's a handful of guys out there that are selling 100 grand without using REC, but they're like this compared to the guys that are clicking it every time. You know, and you know, we use Brad and Ricky as examples all the time. Their market shares are 80%.
Right.
You know, and it just quit trying to think through it yourself and just, as Tim says all the time, just follow the process.
It just from a customer's perspective, it just makes so much sense to make sure you're completely satisfied before I got to give you a dime. From a salesperson, it just makes my job so much easier to put your money where your mouth is. Yeah. It's like that's it. No, I want to put in my credit card. Absolutely, I agree. I collect points too. In fact, I go on one vacation a year. You know, I always go to Key West. Well, not this year going to Key West, but hopefully sometime I'll be able to go back to Key West off of my points for my credit card. So when you get that bill, Mr. Customer, all you got to do is call the branch and give them the credit card number. We just want to make sure you're happy before you give us anything. I mean, it's just...
Yeah, and you know, we worry all the time, particularly this time of year, we're getting some competitive bids, right? You know, you worry about building trust. How do you build trust in a couple, 3 hours in a house? You just tell them, I don't need your money. You know, you don't necessarily have to say, you don't even have to trust me, Tim. But I mean, that's basically what you're saying. You don't have to trust me. Just wait till the work's done, then you pay us. Who would not buy that way? Just if you're not there yet, keep rethinking it, try it, and forget about the declines, forget about all that other kind of stuff. Because there's new folks out there getting after it every day.
Yep, without a doubt.
Every day.
Without a doubt. So one thing I want you to kind of talk on, because I keep getting messages and emails and phone calls. In fact, last week, Nick Velichek sent me a text message at 11:30 at night asking me about the President's Club numbers.
He sent you one too? He sends them to me too. Hey, Nick.
Oh, I'm hurt now.
Congratulations, by the way.
I thought I was special. but anyway, so the list will be out next week with the announcement of where it's going to be. But we kind of changed up the rules a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you can kind of talk through that a little bit so everybody get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, and I don't know how well it got communicated out, but so the first thing that happened is obviously we don't want to go anywhere with any of you in September. You know, no matter where on the planet, we don't want to put your families and you folks at risk or anybody at risk. You know, when you pack up 600-700 people and you send them to a city, you want to make sure first thing you're going to come out of there safely, right? So that's the first thing. So we postponed that trip. We're going to take that trip in March. That site is going to be announced. We are not going to Seattle, and no reflection on Seattle, but you know, just the contract, and they're doing a remodel in March, so we're not going to go there. There'll be a new destination that will be released in the next couple of weeks when they announce the final results of who the winners are, where we're going. So it's a really cool place. I'm sworn to secrecy. I can't tell you. So don't send me a text after this because I told you to text me and ask me where we're going. You're not going to know. So we're going to go in March of 2021. So that trip got kind of pushed back. At the same time that this has happened, there has been a move and there's been a plan. There's actually been a plan in place to flip the President's Club competition to a calendar year. This was going to happen in either 2 years or 3 years. We were going to flip it to a January through December contest. Right now it's a July 1st through the end of June contest. It's been that way for probably 30 years. Prior to that, it used to be a fiscal year contest. It ran January to December. So there's been a move afoot with our executive folks to flip that trip to make it a calendar year contest, make it easier to track. But more importantly, the reason is they want to open up some areas of the country that in the month of September we just don't have access to. And a lot of that is certainly all the areas in the southeast along the coast, you know, your Floridas and your Carolinas and places like that along the coast because of the potential hurricanes, opens up the Caribbean. You know, years ago we made a couple of trips down into the Caribbean, but you don't want to put folks at risk, and it's always kind of sketchy during that time to try to do that. So it was going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years that we were going to flip this trip to a March trip in a calendar year contest. Again, like a lot of things, the COVID has kind of forced our hand. You know, a lot of this forced change. So we're forced to do it now. So what ends up happening, you had a choice having a 6-month contest, which doesn't make any sense, or having one long period, that first transition period of 18 months for the President's Club run. So the President's Club run that started July 1st, the first of this month, is going to run all the way through December 2021. It's going to be an 18-month contest. The numbers will be out in a couple of weeks. They'll have those all there. It'll be 18 months worth of sales numbers. There'll be a little bit of bump in percent of sales, so that you'll see some increases there. But it'll run for 18 months, and then from that day forward, the contest will run on an annual basis from January through December. So that's kind of what's going on.
Yeah, so, and the numbers will be out when the announcement comes out next week,
Yes.
correct? Of what
Yes.
the numbers that you have to hit. I will say this, so we're 2 weeks in already to July, and you may, sometimes when you have a long contest, you get that like little sense of security that, you know, oh, I got time. There is no time like the present to make sure that you are jumping out and getting on top of it and just blowing the numbers out of the water now, so you have a cushion, so you keep going. You don't want to go into the last like 6 months being pretty far behind and you just kind of give up. So take advantage of all this stuff we've been talking about on the broadcast today with the web leads, and you know, they're not going into the branch, and there's still a lot of people home, stuff like that, and making sure you're using RAC, and you know, have a huge July and get you know, come out shooting. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and while we've kind of leveled the field a little bit on sales and what you can sell in a month, I wouldn't want to have to start $100,000 in December to make President's Club. You know, you can start $100,000 in June to make President's Club, can't you, Andrew? And you can kind of drag your feet all the way through the year until you get to the end, and you got to go like hell at the end. Or I don't want you being in that spot a year and a half from now to where you're trying to make up $100,000, $150,000 in started sales in November and December. Don't put yourself in that jackpot. Get ahead of this thing, like Tim said, and get after it, because I wouldn't want to make up ground then.
Right.
So,
and
that's just kind of some great feedback on your part and doing that. But
so what else you got? Anything else?
there's one other thing that I think that, you know, this time of year we kind of, not that we lose sight of, but what's happening at the same time we're blowing all these sales into the call center and we're starting all this business. You can tell your team's tired, right? I mean, I don't know. You know, I've talked to a few of the region managers and even a couple of branch managers, and the way they've been running and gunning, you know, for the last 3 months with what's happening with our increased pest control sales, it almost feels like September, where our techs are gassed. You know, they're gassed already. You know, I love what we did, you know, over the 4th of July holiday, where we kind of shut it down for everybody and give them a break. Be mindful of that. Be mindful of how tired your techs are, and how much they're busting their hump so you can cash those 14% commissions. Take extra care of them. I have never seen business come at this rate ever in all my 30 plus years. We are absolutely swamped. Everybody's exhausted. It's all hands on deck. You all are doing your part. You're working more hours. You're seeing more people. You're selling more business. Just be mindful of that. Take care of your techs would be one thing. And then the other thing that I took some notes, you know, on the performance that you had residentially in the Northeast Division in June. There are 10,606 brand new pest control customers that were added in June. Now, I'm hoping a handful of those were bundled, right? So let's say there's 500 of them that these guys sold already. So there's 10,000 customers that we've not even visited yet. And, you know, y'all been just to the wall, you know, staying busy. There's, you know, 10,000, I think you got like 125 inspectors.
Yeah.
I think I did some crazy math. You know, it never works out that way, but that's like 80 appointments per guy or gal for the entire month of July. Now, we're not going to get to all of them.
Right.
But again, what's happening, we just keep adding new ones in there. While you're blowing and going, don't lose sight of the opportunity you have doing a whole home inspection on that PC, no TC customer.
Without a doubt.
Because they're new, they're fresh, they're impressionable. And again, so that would be the two things. Be mindful of your techs, pay attention to them. You know, we can't see them every month or every week like we used to. Figure out a way to touch them. Let them know you give a darn about them.
Yeah.
You know, your termite techs, you know, drop the stuff off. Still continue to take them drinks and things like that, because they don't have any contact with anybody either.
Right.
You can't roll into the branch and high five them and thank them for all the leads. Make an effort. You know, FaceTime your tech. Hey man, appreciate what you did. Appreciate you knocking those 2 starts out or knocking that termite job out. I think that's really all I had.
That's a great point. Yeah, that is. That's a great point.
Because they're tired.
Yeah.
You're tired. You know,
Without
everybody's
a doubt.
tired. You know,
And it's hot.
and everybody's dealing with crazy stuff. You know, let alone the COVID, all the other craziness that's going on in our world. You know, people are on edge.
Stop watching the news. You'll be better off.
Yeah, I don't watch the news, but But the last thing that I would share with you is that kind of losing my train of thought a bit, but just stay on the course and being, we're certainly thankful for you. My gosh, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you all do. But when you think about it, when you talk to folks, when you get into conversations with people, there's a lot of people not working. And we are very lucky to be in this industry and doing what we're doing. We've got some openings on the residential sales side of the house that, there's some folks out there, there's some pretty good salespeople. Get a referral out there. If you refer a salesperson to us and we hire them, I'll send you $1,000 on top of the other bonus. So there's great opportunity out there. Be thankful for how lucky you are. Stay safe, that you've continued to make money. You've probably made more money this year than you did last year based on just the pure results. And there aren't very many people in America that could say that today.
Amen.
Unemployment at what? I don't know what the numbers are, but you hear about all these people being unemployed and struggling. Just be thankful for the industry you've chosen. I interviewed a guy yesterday, and I used to tell people we're recession resilient, right? That we kind of do okay. What a story we have to tell.
Yep.
What a story you have to tell. Again, be safe though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, that was good. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have nothing more to add after that. That was really good. The only thing I want to say is, again, thanks for everything you do. Be safe and just trust the process. Thank you.